Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming to hear our story about what happened with my son Kenneth. Some call him Kenny, some call him Whitey. But anyway, the morning of December 13th, 2024, I woke up. My dog is, my dog came and got me. He was very frantic. He came and got me. My son is downstairs, I'm upstairs. So, went downstairs, I found my son on a low sugar. My son was type 1 diabetic, along with kidney disease, end-stage kidney disease. And he actually made the list, the donors list for a new pancreas and a new kidney. Now, the morning of December 16th, when I found him on a low sugar, I immediately dialed 911 and explained to him what was going on. I went to the kitchen and got a jar of honey to give him to bring the sugar up to the paramedics to get there to take over and do the rest. I explained to the paramedics he was on a low sugar. I gave the paramedics his medical history. After they examined him, they pricked his finger, they got blood. They told me his sugar was high. They actually said it was 500. I told them his sugar is not 500. He's experienced a low glucose level. I'm familiar with it. I know what it looks like when I see it. I insisted. I told them his sugar is low. They told me his sugar was 500. Then they told me it was 300. Then they told me it was 200. I said, that can't be so. It can't be so. I'm familiar with what I'm looking at. He's on a low sugar. Well, by the time I ran upstairs to get dressed, I came back downstairs. They're preparing him to go to the hospital. We went to the hospital by way of ambulance. When we got there, they got Kenny together. Within a matter of minutes, he was back on a normal sugar. His sugar was actually 134. Well, I'm sorry, I called his uncle. Before we left the house, I called his uncle. Keith, Kenny's sugar is low, headed to the hospital. He met us there. Like I said, once we got there, they treated Kenny. He was completely out of it. But they treated Kenny, they got his sugar back to 134. His vitals were good. Keith is there. I'm there, of course. But Kenny is completely out of it. Though his sugar levels were good, he's completely out of it. And I asked them, why is he out of it? Why won't he wake up? They said they didn't know. So they asked me, they're calling him Kenneth? Kenneth? And they asked me, well, I said he goes by Kenny. They said, what does he go? He goes by Kenny. But he wouldn't respond to them. So like I said in the beginning, some people call him Kenny, some call him Whitey. So now I was in the room amongst 4 or 5 white people. So I said, no offense. Whitey, Whitey. He opened his eyes immediately, rubbing his legs. He's talking. He's looking at me. He's looking around. I told him where he was. Shortly after that, he was up and alert. Shortly after that, I said, I'll be right back. I have to go down to the ladies' room. Went to the ladies' room. Came right back to Kenny's room. En route to his room, I'm coming up the hall. That room that my son was in is like a glass wall. So I could hear what's going on in the room before I even got in the room. And I heard that staff taunting my son. It sounded like something in a horror movie. Whitey, 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 they're taking turns Whitey, Whitey. I stepped in the room. And I looked at everybody and I said, what's going on? What are you guys doing? What's going on here? Oh no, we're trying to wake him. We're just trying to wake him. So I woke Kenny up again. And I made it clear to him he was just up. Why is he out of it again? He was just up. I believe at that point, Keith was back in the room with us, upstairs in the room with us.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Kenny is up. He's very alert. Keith asked him, you know what day it is, who's the president, you know where you are. Kenny responded to everything correctly. He responded correctly to everything. He talked to Keith about the emergency room door over to the right side of the building and talked about the dog.
Things
We got
This is
The
we started
nurse?
going to a general conversation.
yeah, the three of us were talking. The nurses, the staff, I'll say, they were in and out of the room.
A lot.
In and out. When you think back to it, it's like they were nervous. We're talking, Kenny, Keith, and I, we're talking, and I said, what's going on? Why are we still here? Your vitals good, your sugar is 134, your vitals are good. Why are we still here? The nurse walked in the room. We have a bed prepared, we have a room upstairs prepared for him. I said, well, why? He's good. Sugar level's 134, his vitals are good. Why would you all take him upstairs? They back out the room. No answers. In and out, in and out. You couldn't get a complete sentence from any of them. Everybody's in and out, in and out. Nervously, in and out. Kenny said, his nose, my nose itch. Gershman, Anthony Gershman, the guy that murdered my son. In fact, at that time, his name badge says Stephen. He stepped in the room. He told the technician told him as he stepped in the room, he says his nose is itching. Gershman looked over at my son, looked back at the tech, and went like that, chewing gum, very unprofessional, no bedside manner at all. And he kept looking at the technician, moving his nose and his mouth like that. She laughed. I looked at my son. I said, something's not right. I said, is your nose still itching when we rub your nose? No, Mom, good. Suddenly, Kenny got really thirsty, really thirsty. His mouth had gotten really dry. His teeth were dry. His lips were dry. His lips were white. He said, I'm thirsty, I'm really thirsty. His uncle said, I'm going to go downstairs to Starbucks. Do you all want anything? I said, no, I'm good. I have water. Kenny said, I got a taste for hot chocolate. The medical doctor, young black lady, she said, oh, you're good. You can have that. As she's leaving the room, Gershman comes in the room. You can't have anything to drink. You can't have anything to drink. That's when I spoke up. Kenny said, I should take this off me and get out of here. I'm ready to get out of here. I told the nurse, Gershman. Well, the medical doctor said he can have something to drink. Kenny said, well, I'm good. I should just get out of here. I said, well, if you want to, you can. Your sugar level is 134. Your vitals are good. I have your coat over there in the bag. In fact, I even have your shoes. He goes, you brought my coat with you? I said, yeah. It was really cold when you left. Remember, he was out of it when he left the house. I said, it was really cold when you left. I wrapped you up in your coat. Everybody is back and forth, in and out the room. I'm at the bedside with my son. His Uncle Keith is a few feet away from us at the door. He's leaning on the door. So Kenny goes, something's wrong. He said, wait. Something's wrong. He's looking around. Something's wrong. What's wrong, Kenny? Something's wrong. I can't breathe. Something's wrong. He's getting frantic. Something's wrong. He's trying to breathe. And move the covers back. Something's wrong. Gershman came in. Kenny said, something's wrong. What is this oxygen on? I can't breathe. Gershman nonchalantly walked over to the side of Kenny's bed. Kenny said, what is that machine on? What is that machine on? I can't breathe. Gershman put the machine around to Kenny. My son said, what is the machine on? Gershman, oh, it's on 20. Kenny said, it shouldn't be on 20. It shouldn't be on 20. Something's wrong. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I got to the bed to help Kenny. He wanted to get up on his knees, because he said that would make him feel better, to get up on his knees. So, I'm getting Kenny up on his knees. I'm helping him on his knees. The nurses, the technicians, they're in and out of the room, back and forth. I'm asking them, we're telling them something's wrong. Help us. What's going on? What's going on? Nobody's answering us. Everybody's in and out the room. At one point, no one was in the room with us. We were in there alone, 3 of us. Kenny is up on his knees. I'm helping him up on his knees. He's holding me, and I'm holding him. My cell phone was in my pocket. For some strange reason, I took that phone out of my pocket, and I said, here, twin, hold my phone. For no reason. It wasn't in my way. Again, it was in my pocket. Here, twin, hold my phone. Thank God he hit the record button. Shortly after I gave twin my phone, Gershman comes in the room. Technician came in the room. Kenny and I both are begging them to help us. Help him. My son is struggling. Help him. He can't breathe. Immediately, the staff hollered for the officers to come in and remove us from the room. They kept telling Keith and I, you have to leave. You have to leave the room. Please leave the room. Now the staff, they're standing away from the bed. Keith is still on the door. I'm at the bed helping Kenny. The staff is behind Kenny. They're lined up, shoulder to shoulder. And they're just standing there holding their hands like this, looking at us with a half smirk on their face. It felt like I was in a horror movie or something, or like this was planned or something, because we're begging them to help Kenny. They insist that we leave the room. They call security on us. And I said, why are you calling the officers on us? We haven't done anything. Why do we have to leave the room? So Keith says, well, they said, well, we're going to, someone in the room, well, we're going to help him. We have to, that particular part, I can't really remember what was said, but it was more like, you have to leave so we can help him. We'll help him once you leave. As Keith is approaching me to tell me to come on so they can help him, let's leave. I looked at Keith. I said, well, why do we have to leave the room for them to help him? I don't understand this, but Kenny is still holding me right here. Keith is on the right side of me. Come on, Terry, you gotta go so they can help him, because we're just in the way in here. Just come on, we get out of here, they can help him. Didn't want to leave. Kenny is still holding me right here. I'm holding him. Suddenly, my son's hand pulled away from my arm like that. I got Keith on this side. Come on, Terry, we gotta get out of here so they can help him. We just in the way. So that's what we did. We left the room. I'm looking back at my son as I'm walking to the door. And I'm, Keith, something ain't right. Don't look right over there, Keith. I don't want to leave. Come on, Terry, we in the way in here. Come on, we gotta go. A woman came. Let me back up. As we're leaving out the room, Keith left the room before me. I'm just right behind him though. The technician, she closed the door so fast and hard, she hit my arm. The door hit my arm right here. And I found that to be really strange that we had to leave the room, and then why are they closing the door? So as Keith and I, we're like right outside the door. At this point, we're by the window, and I can hear all this movement. And it didn't sound good at all. And I clearly remember touching the window. Keith is a few feet diagonally in front of me. And I could hear all of this commotion. And I touched the window. And I reached my hand, Keith, but my right hand is still on the window. Keith, something's not right in there. Something's not right in there. Come on, Terry, no, we in the way. They gotta help him. So the lady is escorting us to the lobby. We sat in the lobby roughly an hour. It was an hour. But within the first 15 to 20 minutes of being in the lobby, I got up and I went to the desk. Excuse me, ma'am, I'm here with Kenneth Coleman. He's in the emergency room. Could you tell us what's going on? Give me an update on him? Sure, just a second. About 10 minutes later, she disappeared to the back. I never saw her again. I sat with Keith. I said we let another 15, 20 minutes go by. I saw the lady that escorted us to the lobby, and I asked her, excuse me, can you give me an update on what's going on with my son back here? She told me, sure. She never came back either. So I sat back with Keith, and we're just waiting. And all of a sudden, a woman came out from that door, from the emergency room. And she comes out, she says, Coleman, we stood to our feet. She says, follow me. We did. Now remember, Keith and I, we came from the door straight ahead, the emergency room door. But this lady said, follow me. She took us in another direction. I walked with her for a moment and then I stopped. Looked at Keith, I said, something is not right. Miss, why are we going this way? When I left my son through that door, why are you taking us up here? She said, well, we're going to go up here because we need privacy. I said, privacy? The room I left my son in had a door on it. How much more privacy do we need? We continued to follow the woman. I saw security, 2 security officers a few feet away at the desk. They're watching Keith and I. We're still following the woman. She took us around to the chapel. That's what she said, follow her to the chapel. Why are we going this way? Left my son through that door. She says, we need privacy. We're going around here so we talk. We need privacy. I know I'm repeating myself. And so we went in there with her. They had 2 chairs available for us. They told us to sit down. There was about 4 people in the room. They told us to have a seat. I didn't sit down. Keith went on and sat down. I put my purse in the chair. I knew in my heart something's wrong. So they're looking at us. And someone started talking. They were trying to explain, I assume, but I interrupted them. I I waved my hand. I don't want to hear this. Where's my son? I don't want to hear this. Where's my son? No one said a word. I looked at Keith, I looked at them, and I told Keith, they done killed my damn son. I left the room. I left the room, the chapel. I left the chapel. I left my purse in there, left Keith in there. Went down the hall because I was going to the emergency room where I left Kenny. So as I'm near the emergency room, I hear someone, Miss Matthews, Miss Matthews. So I turned around, 2 white women, 1 black woman, the medical doctor. I actually left something out. I'm sorry. I remember being in that chapel, and I remember the black medical doctor, female medical doctor, said to us, because Kenny could not breathe and he thought fluid was building in his lungs. And that medical doctor verbally told Keith and I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. We examined him. No fluid in his lungs, just a little. She put her hand up like this, just a little. Not enough to kill him, just a little. I don't know what happened, but one thing I do know, it happened suddenly. He didn't suffer, it happened right away. That's when I, proceeded to leave the room. I didn't want to hear it then. So they came after me, and I think Keith can step in there. Hopefully I didn't leave anything.
I'm gonna try to fill in the gaps as much as possible. And hopefully, whatever we miss, the video will kind of give you a better idea of the reality. So I want to say hello and say we appreciate the love and support. I'm going to start by saying that December 13th was a great day, but not a good day. Great does not always mean a positive result. What we witnessed was almost like watching a perfect horror movie, except it was in real life. I can still see my nephew reaching for the back of the gurney as he was snatched off his knees and forced down by healthcare workers while he loudly yelled, cried for his mom's help. Yet I'm aware that it wasn't a dream or a movie. I took for granted the chance to help him. Especially when he needed it. There was something in me anticipating and hoping for a different result. The initial reaction, after the death was shock, knowing he and I was just having a general conversation before it all started going to the level. other natural reaction was to record. Yes, we had the original video leading up to the last minutes of his life. Please be advised it is sensitive and could possibly cause knock something, and will allow you to make your own opinion. Like I said, I'm trying to fill in the gaps. I didn't know they had a name tag, Stephen. I didn't know we had a name tag, Stephen. And it was actually some tension because my nephew, he was experienced with medical, and it's an ambulance and fire department person, and the guy might have felt challenged. It just felt like he just, like, you can't tell me nothing type of deal, right? Like she said, they was in and out the room a lot. And
You're avoiding us.
and he just seemed too attentive. I caught him on his phone a couple of times. He might have been on the work phone. I don't know. I'm just trying to tell you what I saw. And he, for some reason, he was out the room so much, I went outside and stood by the corner of the wall. Almost like a T intersection. And the guy was coming up the hall, but he didn't see me on the corner or the other direction. Because he didn't know I was out there waiting on him, trying to figure out why was he taking so long. But it was a lady, the same lady that shut the door on hers. Had a pink uniform on with burgundy hair, white lady. She come down the hall, and the guy, Stephen, at this time, he said something, and I only thought it was related to my nephew because it just looked like some kids playing something. But they just, I said, "What you say?" He just wouldn't repeat himself. Now, before they shut the door on her, my nephew kept saying he needed to sit up. I need to sit up. I need to sit up. Something ain't right. So upon him wanting to sit up, I say, "Look, take your feet and push off my legs until somebody sets you up." He did that a few times. I don't remember Gershman raising him up. Somebody raised him up. But he still would sit up. He had a habit of wanting to get up on his knees like this. So by this time, the commotion is going on. He trying to tell him that it's my nephew talking. Like, I see y'all right there, he talking. Because they're not paying attention or can really relate to what he's saying. Someone maybe, I don't know, I can speculate all day. But he said, "Y'all need to listen to me. Y'all need to listen to me." He was real adamant about it.
Yeah, he took his fingers, let me interrupt you. That's the part I forgot to mention. As he is explaining that he could not breathe, I told Anthony Gershman, I said, because Kenny was very adamant about that machine. Kept pointing around at that machine. Something's not right. Something's not right. What is that machine on? Gershman very nonchalantly turned it around. Kenny glanced. That's not right. But Gershman wouldn't move. He wouldn't show any concern. He just stood back, holding on to the machine, looking at my son, smiling. I said, "Do something. Help my son." Kenny took his fingers and hit his chest. "Listen to me! Listen to me!" I said, "Sir, help my son. He's struggling. Help him." This man just stood there, holding the machine, looking at my son, smiling.
So when the other group of workers came in, they were standing there watching. But somewhere between them standing there watching, his mother had helped him up on his knees. By this time, he up on his knees. The back of the gurney is here. He get up on his knees. He just got up on his knees. I look to my left, the security guard here. As soon as they saw the security guard, guess what happened? They snatched him. I could see his hand reaching for the back of the gurney. He never landed the right hand. He got this, but he's reaching. And when they saw that security guard, it was home run. Yeah. They snatched him off his knees so fast and was telling us we need to leave the room. The same lady that slammed the door on her, I had the vomit bag in my hand. I say, here go the bag. She had a pink on like that there. With the smirk, the same smirk. She snatched the bag out my hand and slammed the door. We go marching on down. Before we go marching, I'm trying to tell her, come on. I should have been there, ready to go to jail that day. I'm telling her, come on, let's get out their way. They in there playing romper room. By the time we got in the chapel, the same black lady, she had the saddest look on her face. She said, we don't know what happened. It happened so fast. By the time I got a chance to speak, I don't know how many minutes went by. I want to know, did you use the defibrillator? How much fluid did you find in his lung? It was very little, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to cause that, is what she said. Time go by. They finally convinced us to go look at the body. He's in a total different room. But before that, you know, one question that always play in my mind is, I don't know if it's just in the movie, but he was just in a big room with 2 digital clocks. So I want to know, what time did he die?
They couldn't tell us.
Never, to the day, I don't know what time he died. So they finally convinced us to go to the room. Some other people came up there to the hospital by then.
Yeah, at that point I called a few friends to come up, so it was about 5 or 6 of us at that point.
So I'm in and out of the room. I almost didn't go in the room, you remember?
Mm-hmm.
I say, well, I gotta go. So I go in the room. By the time some of my friends get there, my phone rang. They're in there recording again. I don't know.
Can you stop right there? Because remember, like you said, you didn't go in the room right away, but we all did. Give me a minute.
Just gonna tell my part.
Well, your part is coming after this. So we go in the room, my friends and I, my son is on the bed, completely out of it. He has this, what do you call it? He has this tube down his throat. breathing tube down his throat, teeth bloody. He said the tube was down his throat because they were trying to save him. But there was still no reason to have that tube down his throat when we went to view him. So we're in there with my son. Shortly after, Anthony Gershman walks in. His name badge does not say Stephen anymore. He walked in the room very nonchalantly, so unconcerned. He looked at us and he looked at Kenny and he's, yeah, I gave him Haldol, 2.5 milligrams, you know, to calm him down. Two of my friends there, medically inclined, they both said, Haldol? That's a medication to treat mentally ill people. He's not mentally ill. At 2.5 milligrams? What's the standard amount? Gershman said, 2.5, maybe, just like that. My girlfriend said, maybe? You mean you're a nurse and you don't know? His phone rang. He had on cargo pants. His phone rang. He went in his pocket. He looked at the phone. He put it back in his pocket. Now, the room that we're in, the door slightly opened. After he put that phone back in his pocket, a woman that was over top of him, she came in that room. She put her hands on his shoulders, real firm, snatched him out of the room like this, literally pulled this man out of the room from us. That told us that he had said too much. Never saw him again. Go ahead, Keith.
Well, I did. I saw him again a couple of times, actually. There was some admin lady that came downstairs, and she was trying to get a better understanding. I was trying to tell her what I saw. I couldn't really put together the assault part of it, but it was assault. By them snatching him off his knees. I thought it was helping. Long story short, I did point out that guy because he came across, he just gave me a bad, eerie feeling. He just gave me that. He gave me that. I mean, he was arrogant, real Fonzarelli type guy, you know.
Real snacky.
And I was telling her, just like I'm telling y'all, what I felt. He the one that really gave off that vibe. I don't know. I still don't know about the 2.5 hard dog. I don't know Stephen Badge is this guy name. I don't know this part, right? But I'm going to tell you something going really have your mind open for a minute because it's real. Again, my phone was ringing back and forth. So one time, after I left the waiting area, I see the same admin lady in the hallway. And she probably was maybe 45, maybe 50 feet from the main desk. When you go and ask somebody, where's room such and such? One of the big desks that the nurses hang out at, right? So I see her closer to my nephew's room and my family as I'm coming through the door. So I say, excuse me, what is that guy's name? That's really was a dumb question. So I'm still, in spite of mild manner,
I'm trying to be, anyway, calm, right? She said, what guy? I said, the same guy we was just talking about. So she turned to the side and I pointed to the guy, Stephen. I don't know Stephen. I just know faces. So she got an ink pen. No, she don't have an ink pen at this time, but she said, oh sure, I'll get his name. Let me get an ink pen. So I'm standing there. She won't marching over there. I see her with the ink pen in one hand, but now it looked like she might have had the folder in the first place. I don't know, but I know she got two things in her hand. An ink pen in one hand and a folder in the other hand. And it was like a parent chastising a child. And I see her doing this. So I say, I'm talking to myself now, right? I said, let me go see what's going on. So I go walking over there, go 50 feet. Somebody to warned her, the guy's behind you. So she turned around. Oh, I'm so sorry, we're unable to give out the last name. I said, what? Now, excuse me if my voice changed a little bit, it's going to go higher. I say, it's got to be about, if it ain't 15, it's 20 of the jokers at this big old desk, right? But it's quiet. I say, what do you mean? He's standing right there. He's standing right there. So, now I got to be rude. I snatched the pen out of her hand. Walk. I walk around the desk. I'm still trying to be not what's the word? Polite? Okay, thank you. I say, excuse me, sir, what is your name? But you don't know, boy. I say, excuse me, sir, what is your name? He ignored me 3 times. The second time, I say, what is your name? He's standing to the side. He said, huh, but he's still standing there. I say, but about the second time, I got around on the side of him, right? I could see Anthony, but I can't make out the last name. By that time, I say, what is your name? He do this. I don't know if y'all seen them slingshot badges. They kind of like a rubber band. You can do this and then right back to you. So the guy did this. He didn't say that. He just did this. Put the badge in my face like that. I said, okay, I'm cool with that. This is what I used to do when I used to get in trouble, right? I get to shaking. I'm so nervous, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I'm so nervous, I'm shaking. I said, thank you. And I walk back around the desk, and I do this like a ghetto little kid, right? Do the pen at the lady, right? I say, now, what was so hard about that? I got his last name. Why you couldn't get his last name? So now, I got to remind her how unprofessional her staff is. Because, like she said, he was popping gum. I mean, like bubble gum. Real hard. To me, already was a red flag for him in and out that room. And it kind of like sneaking. Even if it was a hospital phone, like he was just sneaking. but him just not attentive to his job the way he should have. It almost felt like my nephew was challenging him some. So I finally get the name, Anthony Gershon. Guess what? That's the same guy she keep calling Stephen. I said, why do you keep calling the guy Stephen? His name is Anthony Gershon. So I don't know if that was the part when the lady was back and forth with him. I don't know. But he had apparently the right tag on that time. So I don't know when he got Steven, whoever Steven tag he had on, that might be his nickname. I don't know. But he was wearing it. If her and three or four other people saw it, I didn't even think to look at the time they saw that. But again, I did see him periodically as my nephew laid in that room, them getting another information about the harder. I don't know nothing about a harder or whatever. I looked it up. Come to find out, I don't know if they still using it in the hospital, but Pope took it off the market maybe what I said, 3 years ago or something?
Yes.
Pope took it off the market. The hospitals may be still using it, I don't know. But him or nobody else, to my understanding, was supposed to get that to a dialysis kidney patient. When this is his regular hospital, nobody had the idea to think and say, well, he's a regular. Let's look into his record. That's what it seemed like I would have done. But I'm not a doctor. I just know what I saw. So again, if you're sensitive to this kind of thing, might want to cover your ears or whatever, but we're going to play the video, and hopefully you can fill in the gaps. It'll match some of the things we missed out. I don't know. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. So, what I'm going to play now is moments, the last moments of my son being alive as we're being put out of the room. I'm going to push play and I'm going to step out. I'll come back when it's over.
Let me push play. Can y'all hear it? That's the short version of that, but again, we got some other videos and some stuff we're gonna probably need for court or whatever, but again, all I really hope for is justice. Because it's happening. It's happening often. And we out there, guess what? I'm gonna tell y'all this, and I'm gonna get off the stage. We out there protesting it was amazing to see how many people had similar stories. It was just like buying a car and seeing the same car. But it's a thing. I didn't know it was called health. My man said it, healthcare apartheid. It's real. One day we was protesting, right? It was a little more, few more people, but we making some noise. This day, people across the street. I don't know if y'all been to George Washington Hospital. They done called the police on us. They done called the police on us. And it filled the whole entire other side and halfway down the other side, but we on. They got the dogs out there. They checking the train. I don't know what they looking for.
That's pretty nice.
But, yeah. I know somebody that works for that same metro. I said, man, you think they called the police on her? He said they absolutely called the police on her. Police say we wasn't within our parameter, but he wanted to, one of them just say, we want to remind you, just don't come between 25 feet. What was it? 25 feet?
Yes.
Whatever it was, we couldn't
25.
we couldn't go over the line by accident. Maybe we was gonna get dealt with. I don't know.